Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. So, today's episode is going to be another one in my series called Renewal Recap, where I'm essentially giving all the scoop on what my business actually looked like in April. So, if you've been following along in this series, you'll know that each month of this year, I'm going to be sharing the wins and opportunities for growth, along with some actual numbers and recognition, because this is ultimately kind of like my team page, right? So buckle up for all the scoop on what went down in April. All right, so without further ado, let's dive into April's numbers. So I won't spend a lot of time on what the word renewal means. You can go back to previous episodes if you want all the scoop on that. But as for the recap goes, I think that's pretty, obvious. So all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sharing my work acronym, which is what I recommend for you and what I use to review the month, the season, the year, maybe it's a quarter for you of your business. Because if we don't take time to pause and reflect on what we did right, maybe some areas that we need to shift our focus a little bit, definitely shouting out all the good stuff and good people who are doing amazing things in your business, and then really keeping track of some important numbers. If we don't do those things, then we're not going to be treating our direct sales business like a business. And so I am an open book and I love tracking this stuff. I know not everybody does, but this is hopefully a simple way that not only can you get a peek behind the lens of what an actual Seint top leader's business looks like, but it's also something that you can do and implement for yourself. So I hope that you do. So whenever we talk about numbers or anything in business, I always want to reference our income disclosure statement. So I will link that in the show notes or the description of the YouTube video if you're watching there, just so that you can see I am an Artist 9 with the company. I've been here for 7 years. So the numbers and the things and the data that I'm sharing, this is specific to my business, and I encourage you to analyze your numbers as well in whatever company, whatever business, whatever rank you are, all of those things. So the acronym again I use is called WORK, and it stands for wins, opportunities for growth, recognition, and KPIs. So I'm going to break down my April with each of those different areas, and I'm going to pick 3 in each area. So let's start with the wins. So I had a big win in April, and that was I got to attend our company's annual, annual. Now it's going to be actually twice a year, reward trip. So this one was called Watercolor. It was in Playa Mujeres, I think is how you say it, Mexico. And it was pretty special because it's the first one that I outright qualified for in a couple of years, because last year's I technically didn't qualify for. They decided to extend the invitation to some of us as high-ranking leaders that weren't able to attend the leadership retreat due to unforeseen circumstances, and so they extended the invitation to us. So I was so excited to be able to get back to one of these, and I have to say, our Seint corporate does focus the qualifications for this, or in the past they have focused it very heavily on sales. And even though I do sell on average in the 40% commission bracket, that's usually not quite enough to qualify for these trips. And if you're not there yet, don't worry. This is something that absolutely I've seen those who really put their focus and energy in going for it. I've seen the impacts that it can grow on their business and on their team, but it's not for everybody. But I definitely want to take the time to shout it out as a win personally, but also for the team, because anytime we can have the opportunity to get together in person, to kind of mastermind, to meet other like-minded leaders, I really built some strong relationships and connections from some gals not even on my team, which was really special, because the ones who were there are the ones who are doing the things, right? They're selling some makeup. And so it's a big deal, and it was so special. They actually include for us an additional guest into the cost, but it can't be a Seint artist. So I brought my sister-in-law, who is an actual painter artist. And we had the best time. It was really, really special. But the one thing I will say is if you ever go on a trip like that, you're going to want to go on them all. So I am prayerfully working towards qualifying for the next one. And this is going to be kind of a make or break month for me. So y'all stay tuned for that. So that's my first win, is qualifying for Watercolor, our reward trip, and being able to get together with some amazing ladies in Seint earlier in April. So the second win is not necessarily a KPI that I track all year long, or one that I'm necessarily going to, give you the scoop on, but it is a big win, which is I have 394, I think it is, 394 gals that are registered for our annual reunion or our 18-month reunion called Over the Rainbow. And so that's a big number. First of all, I was so excited to see that. It's right now about 8.9% of the team. I'd love for that number to be at least 10%. And so that's a metric for you that you can, however big your team size is, you can kind of track that, if you will. So 10, 15, 20%. When my team was smaller, I probably went for like a bigger number, but 10% would be amazing. And so I'm hoping to kind of work towards doing that. But what's really exciting is that is a larger number than I think we had registered for the last reunion called Wildflower that was in Texas last year. I guess it was last April, about this time last year, actually. And so I'm really excited at the interest that's been sparked, but I definitely would love to also continue to put more of a focus on that. And I encourage you to do the same. And I'm going to link to a video that I did that talks about reunion or your company's annual conference as being the one and only shortcut in this business. And so I definitely encourage you, for example, in Seint, we've got a week, well, it'll be less than a week from when this episode airs, that the early bird ticket pricing is going to be available. So if you're like me, you're going to be spending the time in the next week, if you're in Seint, connecting with your girlies, inviting them to reunion, and you better be there yourself, girl, if you are in Seint, because I cannot wait to hug your neck. It is such a blessing. And actually, I think it is the episode that I'm sharing is one of the best episodes that I have, that like in terms of viewers. So I think it'll be a good one if you're contemplating going to reunion yourself. So I'm going to take that as a huge win. All right. So the last win that I'm going to share is something that I just am really proud of, and that is the sales per active teamie on my team. So that is taking anyone who actually got active in their business in April, at any dollar amount above, it's usually about $350 in the US, or it's like almost $500 in Canada, and then add up all those numbers, divide it by the number of people who got it done, which PS was less than 20% of the team. So if it feels like no one's getting active, know that that is kind of the norm, especially right now in this business, and that's okay. But I'm focusing on the 20% who are choosing to dive in and actively work their business. And you guys, they sold on average $1,617, which is huge. I mean, you guys, that is such a blessing. And I'll share this in my KPIs later, but that's almost $500. It's like $485 in commissions in our 30% commission bracket. And that is huge. And yes, I do have a couple of really big outlier sellers who sell like over 100K, but even if I take out their numbers, it's still over $1,300, like $1,341, which that makes me so happy. So again, if you're sitting on the fence, or if you listen to my podcast and you feel like your business is going backwards, are you really going out all in your business? Are you working to get active and then some? And are you encouraging your teamies to do the same? Not for your benefit, but for their benefit. Because look what happens when you start to put a little bit more energy and focus in that sales. You set that goal to get active, and then you reach for the next commission bracket and the next commission bracket and the next commission bracket. And it just is so exciting to me to see those type numbers. So I'm going to count that as a big win. All right, so next up, let's move on to opportunities for growth. So I always say I share the good, the bad, the ugly, and this is when I start to see some things where I'm like, okay, yeah, got to work on that. Or just things that could have been circumstantial to a given month. So the first opportunity for growth is something that's maybe like not the best metric for me, but then I know that that's something that I can shift my focus and work on, which is why it's an opportunity for growth, or the O in the work acronym. And so for me, my personal sales was an opportunity for growth. So I know I've kind of been, hopefully not bragging. I'm never one to like brag, and know that that's not what I'm trying to do with any of these numbers. It's just to give you a clear picture in this season of what a business actually looks like, because I'm an open book, and it kind of keeps me accountable to, putting it out there and to doing the things to hopefully improve the numbers and help them to grow. But I always say that, the speed of the leader is the speed of the pack. And my sales, I did not hit the 40% commission bracket, which is always a goal of mine. And I kind of coasted in about 40% down to last April. So I was like 2773 was my sales for last month, which is still not terrible. It's not terrible, but it's not my average. My average is over 4,500 in a month. And so it was definitely below average. So I don't know what was up with that. I'm honestly like a little surprised, because I made some connections with some customers that had rolled up to me. So I was thinking that might establish, a little bit more of a relationship with the reorders from that. Also, my YouTube, which actually, yeah, we're going to put this as the thing I'm going to do about my opportunity for growth. How about that? But I am still getting in color matches for my YouTube, which is a growing thing. However, I'm realizing that those color matches are not converting as well as they should. And I think that's tied to what I'm actually sending them. And so I'm going to get really clear on the language that I'm sending in my color matches. And now, granted, some of my color matches might literally be someone else's customer that's just getting a second opinion, because I do offer on my podcast, I point everybody to the artist that they're shopping with. And I'm never trying to steal anyone's customers, but I do like to help educate them. So it could be that they're doing what I tell them to, which is go back to the artist that helped them originally. But also I noticed that a lot of them were creating accounts in my back office, but never quite completing the order. So I do have a follow-up system with them. So I have been following up, but I plan to follow up one more time this week and give them an opportunity for me to kind of make it a little bit less confusing, perhaps. We also have the new starter collections that I plan to kind of, present as a perfect starting point for them. So it's anytime you're not seeing the conversions come through, either on your content, meaning you're not getting a lot of, say, color matches or interest from your content, or if you are, like me, you're getting the conversions in terms of like color matches, but they're not converting to sales, you've got to check your process and your flow. And so I'm going to be doing that this week, because I think I know I can do better, and I'm going to have to step it up if I'm going to qualify for the next trip. That's for sure. So that's my first opportunity for growth, is my personal sales and focusing on upping those color match conversions. So the second opportunity for growth is, and this was kind of tied to going to watercolor, but realizing that it can be a little discouraging for those who didn't qualify or who are very, very far from qualifying, who watch maybe all that stuff go down on Instagram, and they kind of get FOMO and they feel like, oh, well, I could never be there. And so an opportunity for growth is really focusing on in-person connections for everyone. So I've been kind of teasing this, and today the inspiration kind of hit me, and I'm getting some Seint road trips, as I'm calling them, in the works, where I am going to be hopefully with any leaders that are in this kind of region, like in Georgia, a few spots in Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and maybe Alabama. I don't know. I don't know how many of these things. I'm just going to kind of start and see. But I'm going to be doing these fun road trips that'll be opportunities for artists in that region, whether they're on my team or not, to gather in person. But they'll also be an opportunity for them to invite someone to learn more about the business, because it'll be kind of a meet and greet, if you will. And I'm really excited about this. I think this is a huge opportunity for growth, to kind of do something that's like not as big as Reunion. It'll just be something simple, but it's just a way that we can get together and do something special. So stay tuned for that information on that. And I'm really excited about doing it. So that's the second opportunity for growth, is in-person connections. So then the third opportunity for growth is artists that are quitting. So we are in what's called the shakeout, meaning people are making the decision whether to stay or to go, or try to do both, which we've talked about in past episodes. So I won't go there in this one. But we did have, Seint had, I guess what happens is maybe people don't automatically fall off in the back office once they've stopped paying their dues. So they kind of had another exodus last month, which meant that about, what was it, 5%? Something like that. Yeah, 4.8% of my team disappeared from a back office. Whoopsies. So these were gals that were suspended, meaning they had not paid their back office fee. They weren't doing anything in their business. So if anything, they're kind of diluting the numbers. But still, that's not an awesome number to see that many. It was like 218 artists that quit, which was 4.8% of my team. So that's sad. But you know what? It is what it is. And again, this is just an opportunity for growth, for trying to, as I talk about, plugging the holes in the leaky bucket and committing to that renewal process, and really exemplifying what it looks like to go all in with Seint and with my business, and to fight just any kind of narratives that are out there, but yet address any of the things that we can fix or control, or the things that are within our control, right? Or the things that we can communicate with corporate, things like that. So I'm committed to this, and I'm excited about it, and I'm not going to let a number like that get me down, but it is an opportunity for growth nonetheless. So I'm going to throw that one in there. So next up, this is one of my favorite parts, if not my favorite part of this entire kind of renewal recap, if you will, and that's recognition, which is the R in work. So this is my time to shout out some gals on my team who are doing amazing things and deserve all the love at kind of varying different levels. So the first gal I actually heard about from one of my leaders, Haley, who is rock and rolling herself, but she was telling me about her when we were in Mexico together for the reward trip. And this gal's name is Masha Maloney. And you guys, she just joined in March. She had a great March, but in her first full month, which was April, you guys, she was number 11 on my entire team. She made the top 12 out of over 4,400 people in her first month in business, which is mind blowing. And if I remember correctly, a lot of it is doing in person, which is really exciting. And she also was able to enroll 2 new artists. So I suspect that this might be her month to hit that foundation rank of Artist 3. I'd be shocked if she doesn't with those kinds of sales and with enrolling and leading by example. And so I'm just so excited to shout out Masha. I have not met her yet, but you can bet I am looking forward to connecting with her and hopefully meeting her at our reunion in the fall. But huge shout out to Masha Maloney for being in the top 12 in her first full month in business. To me, this is just proof that newbies who are just coming in are as fired up as ever. I also have had a few new artists either join directly with me or, kind of join underneath some gals that, like, for example, my sweet friend Emily that passed. She actually had one of her best customers that decided to enroll, which is exciting because her business still exists in the form of an LLC and a trust, which is really special. And so anyway, I can see that these new artists are excited, they're fired up, and they are ready to rock and roll. And Masha is paving the way and leading the example for her girlies. So I'm excited for you, Masha. You did amazing, girl. So the next person I want to recognize is one of my direct artists who is the most consistent person I think I know in Seint, and she is just beautiful inside and out, and her name is Tabitha Ruiz. So Tabitha and I go way back. It's crazy. At one point, she was on my third line, you guys, and there were 2 gals in between us that were both still are very, very special to me, good friends that we've stayed in touch. But just through circumstances over the years, because Tabitha signed up almost 7 years ago, it'll be 7 years this July for her. And you guys, she's been active in her business, I'm pretty sure every single month since. But not only that, like last month, she came out with like a great sales month. And so she's just one of those people that I see. I'm in her team page or her team chat, if you will. And she's always sharing the goodness. And you guys, she's busy. She's a pastor's wife. She's an author now. She's written books. And she's just like one of those ladies that is just everybody that knows her absolutely loves her. So it's no doubt that's why she's had such success. Plus, she looks to the Lord for her sustenance and for the wisdom, and she follows the process. And so I'm so proud of Tabitha because she exemplifies what Jerica Mortensen and I talked about on last week's episode, which is the power of consistency in your business. And even if her pace isn't always running or, even jogging, she still is consistent and consistently working her business. And when I was looking at her numbers last month, I was like, you go, girl, get it done, Tabitha. So Tabby, as we call her, you are amazing. I'm so proud of you, girl. And you definitely deserve all the recognition in the world for your consistency over almost 7 years, which is awesome. And then last but not least, I'm so excited to shout out somebody who is very patient in terms of reaching a huge rank, which is Artist 5, the top 2%, and her name is Summer Reed. So you guys, Summer is an amazing leader that has been doing the thing for a few years now, and she's been doing great. And I would say slowly but surely, like just growing and building and serving her team. Her mentors above her are like stacked with goodness. And so she has been led by example from the best, but she's pretty awesome herself, another busy gal. And she's had actually a couple, well, and one in particular, this one rock star who's just been ranking like crazy. And so sometimes when you have people ranking, underneath you, it can be exciting, but you can feel like, oh gosh, I need to keep up with them. Or, we call it sometimes like an elephant leg when one leg is building, kind of and becomes like the bulk of your team. Well, I'm so proud of Summer for not letting that get to her head and to focus continually on serving her existing team, but also growing her team because she has been doing that and helping people rank on her team because she had, in addition to ranking to Artist 5, which again is the top 2% of the company, and you can check out that in the income disclosure as well, but she had 2 people rank to the foundation rank of Artist 3 last month on her team, which is amazing. And I can't say enough because that's one of the things that I recommend to track in your business as well. So huge congrats to Summer for ranking. And I also want to shout out, because I know I'll be like shouting her out big time, but one of her mentors, Miranda, and gosh, I mean, you guys, she has a lot of amazing mentors. So Casey, Courtney, Janet, you guys, she's stacked with mentors, but I'm just really proud of Miranda because she is this close to hitting a major rank, Artist 7. I mean, this close, and she could force it to happen. She could make it happen, but she's not doing that. Because if you listen to my my episode on the 5 reasons your business might be going backwards, you can know that it can be really tempting when you're that close to force or push for a rank, but it can often cause your business to go backwards. And she's not doing that. She wants this to be sustainable, and she's encouraged her leaders to do the same. And I was so excited to watch her exemplify that. So congratulations to all of you ladies over there, just like crushing it in your business and having so much momentum, even despite like this crazy renewal season, right? So that's my little recognition for this episode. Finally, we're going to talk the actual numbers. So this is where some of you guys probably you're like, and I'm done, and you're going to click off the episode. Or if you're like me, I'm like, give me all the specifics and the details. So either way, it's important to track the KPIs, the key performance indicators in your business. And I'm going to try something, you guys. I'm a little scared to put it out there, but I think I mentioned it on one podcast, but I did a KPI tracker for my own personal business on Canva. And it tracks everything from my color matches and my conversions from those to my team volume, to my team size, to just all the different things like enrollments, rank advancements. And so I made a template on Canva that I'm going to share with you. You just have to know that it's not coming with instructions. So not yet anyway. Maybe I'll get to that at some point. But you're just going to have to edit the numbers or delete. Like when you click on the little graphs, you can put in your own numbers because mine will be in there just to kind of show you. So you'll be able to see that, click that, and edit it yourself. And I'll drop that link in the show notes or in the description on YouTube so that you can check it out. And again, I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if you're going to want to use it, but I figured once I've made it, why not share it? Because I think it is a really cool, very visual way to track some of this that I'm sharing with you guys. So the first one that I want to track for the KPIs for this episode is the total team sales. So we had 1.62 million in team sales in April, which again is amazing. Anywhere between 1.5 to 2 million, I'm thrilled with. And I was also excited to see that was 16% down from last year, but that's better than 19% down or 18% down, which is what the last couple of months have been. So what's cool is even though the business is maybe just slightly less than what it was at this exact same time last year, it's not like it's getting worse less. Does that make sense? It's not like we're 20%, 30%, 40%, because that can be scary. I know that from the recession when my boutique business, that's exactly what happened. It was we started 20% down and then it was 30% and then it was 40%. I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. But I was excited to kind of see the percentage down go up a little bit. That's me, always the glass half full. Okay, so 1.62 million, 16% down from last April. It was pretty flat to whatever the month before, March. They were pretty similar. It was down a little bit, but pretty flat, which is probably typical. But again, personally, so I'm going to share the team volume and then I'm going to share my volume. So my personal sales were 2,773, which was 40% down from last April. So I'm like, that's not great. But now I know what I need to work on, right? All right, the next KPI is total artists. So the total artists on my team are 4,410. So again, thrilled with that. Really, really happy with that. I had gotten it above 4,500, which I was really excited about. So I was like, no, I didn't want it to slip back down, but that's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. It is 3% lower than the total number of artists I had last year, which does mean, again, people are kind of quitting. We had 218 quit. That's 4.8% of the team. So not ideal, but it is what it is. All right, rank advancements. So we had 37 rank advancements. 3 were at the foundation rank or higher, which I would also like to be more. And actually did I say that as an opportunity for growth? I think I meant to. Oh, well, that is also an opportunity for growth is rank advancements, but maybe I had that last time, so maybe I didn't do that. But rank advancements, I didn't have any of my directs rank, but I have some that are pretty dang close. Well, I did have a new gal that, again, joined, not with me because she was a customer of one of my teamies, but I did help her because she was local to me, and she did rank to artist too, so that's exciting. So rank advancements was 37. What do we have next? Average sales per teamie. So I already told you guys the average sales per active teamie, which was $1,617, which is $485 in commissions on average for those who got active. But the average, if you take the entire total sales for the team and divided by the entire number of teamies, we had 282 CV commissionable volume, which is about in the US $409 on average. In Canada, that's $564, and that is getting active, which is great. It's actually it's not in the 25% commission bracket. It's in the 20% commission bracket. So it's still a little less than $100 in the pocket for, like maybe 60 bucks, something like that for those who did that on average, which is better than nothing. It more than covers the back office fee. Again, I wish more people would either just like go all in and decide to get active in their business, or decide what others have done. And if they're not going to actively work their business, or at least don't see that in the future, I'd almost rather them decide this isn't for them, and that would be okay too. But this is a metric that I recommend that you track, which is the sales per active teamie. So then I already mentioned this next one, which is the percentage active, and it was 19.7, which is exactly the same as last month, which I thought was interesting. So 19.7% active. And then finally, total customers for me. So, and this is something I recommend you track as well. And so for me, I had 2561, which is 133 new ones. And if you listen to last month's, that I had like 500, and I was like, where did they come from? It was from an artist that had rolled up to me. So I suspect that this is from that as well. And I don't know that I'm really going to be able to get into the weeds to figure out exactly what that looks like. I did have some new customers from referrals and from YouTube as well last month. So a few new customers there. So, okay, I think that was all the KPIs. And that rounds out the work acronym for April, the wins, opportunities, the recognition, and the KPIs. And again, I encourage you to go analyze your April numbers right now with these same metrics. And I hope that this is helpful in you getting a visual for what a business looks like at the level that mine is in Seint. So y'all have a great week. Until next week. Bye.